Hello there, welcome to another episode of Inside Out Alignment, your platform for self-discovery and creativity. Yes, another day to be grateful for. And today we are blessed to have Alice Crespo with us, who is a founder and director of Helping Hands for the Disabled in New York for the past 38 years. Her book, Never Be Discouraged, With God, All Things Are Possible, tells the story of her life and how she's lived her life, and she's still living her life with faith, courage, and resilience. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you here today, Alice. Thank you so much for being here and welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. We are going to start this episode a little different from the other ones. So Alice has a special gift for us all to start. And she has that it's two poems that she's going to read for us. So over to you, Alice.
Okay. My first poem, I wrote both these poems. My first poem is Blind Eyes. I've never seen a sunset or watched a flower grow or even seen the light of day, which gives its gentle glow. But I don't live in darkness because I've learned to sense the light of Christ within me that gives my life a glow. And my second poem is Prayer of a Blind Person. Oh Lord, help me to know everything I need to know and keep me and my guide dog out of harm's way. And on those days when I must travel with the use of a white cane, send extra angels to guide me on my way. Thank you, Lord, for knowing you and for knowing I can trust you as I journey on life's way. So those are the two poems that I wrote for my book.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I love them. They are so touching. And it gives this, especially the first one, like gives one, trying to imagine how somebody born blind, just like you, how they navigate the world or their experience, which you're going to share with us today. But again, telling us you haven't seen the day of light and things like that. It's like, but you are this person who is so inspirational, and even acknowledging and accepting that power that breathes you, the Almighty, as many people call it, or maybe God or Jesus Christ, and living in that space of knowing that you are that divine being, and that with that all things are possible because there is something greater in you, and that can now help you navigate your life, and submitting yourself to that power to help you navigate your life is so beautiful. So thank you so much for bringing that in, for starting with that, because I think that is really where a good place to start. Thank you so much. So I will start by saying, Alice, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like starting to grow up and realizing you were blind.
Okay, I was born in 1952. And in those days, if a baby was born premature, which I was born 2 months premature, they would put you in an incubator to help you gain the necessary weight and, that you had to be, and to help you develop those, those extra 2 months. As a result of that, the incubator would often mess up your eyes because your eyes weren't fully developed, and that the light from the incubator would kind of develop all kinds of problems with the retinas and the cones, and everything in the eye would become disorganized. And as a result of that, I was born with no sight at all. So what happened was, when I was 3 months old, I had some kind of hernia, and my parents took me to the doctor. And it was at that time that the doctors told my mother that I would be totally blind. But because my mother, her first language was not English, she didn't realize what the word blind meant. And so she had to wait till my father came home, and she asked him what the word blind meant. And he told her, And then she said, oh, so our baby's going to be blind. He goes, well, I'll try to take her to a specialist and see what we could do. But he did take me to a lot of specialists, but unfortunately, my disease was at the worst stage, and there was nothing they could really do to repair any of the damage. Because this was in 1952 and doctors still hadn't discovered what the problems were with the incubator, we weren't compensated for this loss. Also, although the incubators are now better and there are more, they cover the baby's eyes so that it doesn't lose so much vision. There were still people. I met a person on my accessoride who was only 20 years old and going to college, and he's also totally blind. I thought it had kind of ended after the 50s, but unfortunately, I also ran into a man that was helping me when I was crossing the street, and he told me his daughter was only 10 years old and she was blind. And he had been told that when they put her in the incubator, oh no, that doesn't happen anymore, but it does happen. So according to the Lighthouse Guild, the leading cause of blindness in children is still the incubator. They do cover your eyes. They do try to take you out a little bit every day, but for some reason, people with this, people who are born premature and are put in these incubators tend to have eye diseases very early, like glaucoma and cataracts, and are usually have vision problems all of their lives. Many going blind later on in life. So this is a problem that doctors have not completely figured out. There are times when babies are born premature and they're not always blind. We don't know exactly why. I do have a girl that I went to school with, and she's a twin, and her sister is totally sighted and she's blind. So who knows? There are things we can't explain. But so what happened was, like I said, I was born totally blind, and my parents didn't know how to deal with it. My grandmother was very religious and she believed God would heal me. When that didn't happen, I went on to school. I was in nursery school. I went to public school with special classes. They weren't that good because they didn't have the things they have today. And my teacher was very mean, and she was very, well, if you read my story, you'll find out the whole story, but she was just not a good person. And I went through the public school system. I graduated high school and then went on to college at Hunter College. I later became a Spanish interpreter for the courts. I worked for 30 and a half years, and now I'm freelancing. My parents were from Puerto Rico. I was born and raised here. I learned Braille, and I learned how to get around with a white cane, and later got a seeing eye dog. So that was my story. That was my life. And I basically had to deal with all the problems that come with, being blind, having to do Braille and things like that. But I think the biggest obstacle was that my parents, didn't really know what to do or how to do it. They did the best they could. And I had to do a lot of searching and a lot of things on my own to be able to get to where I got to. But thanks be to God, I was able to do it. And I always said when I was younger, I want to write a book because people need to hear my story so that they can realize that no obstacle is insurmountable. If you have faith and courage, if you have faith in God and courage, you can overcome any obstacle. And I hear so many people making excuses for their lives. It was because of this or because of that. But you got to get past those excuses and go on to do what you need to do. You can't use those excuses as reasons for not doing what you should be doing. And you have to take responsibility for yourself. You cannot say, oh, it was my mother's fault or my father's fault. No, it's your life, and you have to sort of be the captain of the ship. There will be obstacles, but you have to overcome those obstacles. And by doing that, you'll become stronger. You'll become more able to resolve problems if you've had them from the beginning. My book is available on either Amazon or or from Author House or from Barnes and Nobles. Or if you want to write to me directly, my email is Crespo, Crespo, Alice, the number 1 @gmail.com. And if you want a Braille copy or a copy on a thumb drive, you can write to me or call me at 917-696-8115. I also run an organization called Helping Hands for the Disabled of NYC. This is an organization that I started to help other people who have problems or who need volunteers who can assist them with shopping, reading mail, doctor's appointments, etc. And it's for any person that's disabled in New York City can feel free to call our organization at 718-606-9712. That's 718-606-9712. And so if you have questions or if you're disabled and you want to learn more about us, we'd love to talk with you. Also, we're running a very big raffle because we want to raise $5,000 for this organization. And so if you would like to purchase a raffle book, it's only $5 and you would be helping the blind and disabled. So you can feel free to write to me at any of those 2 addresses. Can you put the addresses on the screen or not?
Actually, on the description box of this, or by the end of this video, I usually give that information. And then when they get on the episode, on the description box, they have all your information so they can get to you directly and get whatever they need. For any questions or contact you for any help or even to get the book. So
Right.
everything will be on there. And I always make sure at the end of the episode, I give all this information and let them know that it's in the description box so they can get to you directly.
Great, thank you. And did you have other questions?
Oh, sure. You had an exciting journey, a journey full of a lot of ups and downs, difficulties, even being in school and not, being, I read your book and just looking at your journey, going through school and the teachers and the difficulties and how you had to navigate through all this to be who you are today. And coming from a home or a background where your parents did not really understand or really give you all the tools that you required, but just depending on your own decision to really be independent and take responsibility of your life to be who you are today. And not only that, but reaching out and helping other people is just so inspiring. I would really like to know where you had to take that courage, like to stand for yourself and be like, this is the life I want. I know you've said that you didn't want to be on dependent on welfare because you actually took your mom there when you were 9 or 10 to help translate, but you made it like a firm decision that that's not the life you wanted to live. You don't want to be dependent. Well, you want to be Alice and you want to be responsible for your life, and that's you did. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Not taking because
Well,
you really.
I think that the fact that I had to go to welfare and see the humiliation that they put you through just gave me that resolve that this life is not, I am not going to live my life this way. If my parents chose to, that's on them. But I don't want to live this way. I don't want to be a person that has to depend on food stamps, welfare, all this other garbage. I have to be put through this. I refuse to do it. I am going to find a job, even though the statistics were way against me, because it says 70% of blind people are unemployed. So the statistics were against me. I said, no, I refuse to live this life. I'm going to make something of myself if it's the last thing I do. I can't live this same life. Because when you went to welfare, it was humiliating. You had to sit there all day, wait for them to decide your case, answer a million questions. You were starving, and then the money they gave you was so little, you couldn't buy anything anyway. And I said, no, this cannot happen to me. I can't let it happen to me. I have to make a better decision. And that humiliation and embarrassment that I felt of having to be on welfare just kind of made me more determined than ever that that wasn't going to be my life. That just wasn't going to happen. And I thank God it didn't. I was able to get off the system completely and take care of myself. And when I did get off the system, they didn't want to let me off the system because they said that my disability was too severe and how was I going to travel in the snow? And I said, well, don't worry, with God's help, I'm going to get it done. I'm not coming back here. And that was my resolve, and that was it. My mother said when I decided something, there was no sense in arguing with me. Couldn't change my mind. My mother was, they were asking her, well, how do you feel about this? And my mother said, look, when she decides something, there's no changing her mind. So just go with it.
Beautiful. Yeah, I read that in the book and I just had a smile on my face reading that. I'm like, wow, she's so inspirational. Like,
You know, so
what I
many
was, and then she
people.
moves. And most of us are out here, we have all these abilities and we look at our
Yeah.
circumstances and conditions and we just be like, no, I can't do this, or we are blaming everybody else except ourselves rather than taking responsibility and move forward and learn and be really who we want to be rather than trying to push it on other people. So that is
I just spoke to someone who told me that she needs certain hours for she's going to grad school. And I said, well, while you're refusing to travel to do this volunteer work. Well, it's not that I'm refusing, just that I can't. I said, it's not that you can't. There are subways and buses. You're just choosing not to use them. Well, I said, no, there's no, well, there are subways and buses. If you refuse to use them and you don't have a car, well, then you don't have anyone to blame but yourself. You
yeah.
have to use the tools that you have. All right, maybe you wish you had a car, but if you don't, that's why you live in New York. You use subways and buses. If subways and buses won't work, you better get some money for Uber, but you probably don't have that either. So you're gonna have to, you cannot, you have to work with what you have, whatever that is. If you don't have one thing, you have another. You can't just say, oh, I can't do this because you have to just do it. I get people who say, well, I don't walk that well. And blah. Well, if you don't walk that well, get yourself a scooter or get yourself a wheelchair and go along. Or then they'll tell you, well, I can't do that. Why not? We made the buses wheelchair accessible. Now you have no excuse. We took it away from you.
Yeah.
We made accessorized, so now you have one less excuse. There's no reason you can't do something except you've already decided in your mind that you can't. Everything starts in your mind.
Yes.
If you decide I can't do something, then that closes that door.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to say, well, I can't do this, but it may be a different way than the way everybody else does it. You can do something, you just have to do what I like to call workarounds. And workarounds are basically, how can I change something to accommodate my needs? For example, I'm very short, I'm 5 feet tall. If I buy 12 or 24 packs of paper towels, my helpers put it on the top shelf because that's the only place it fits. But what do? We bring 2 or 3 rolls down. And as we finish them, we bring more down.
Mm-hmm.
So that there's always 1 or 2 in reach where I can get it. I don't sit there and say, well, I'm not tall enough, so therefore those paper towels can't come down. No, I got to come up with another way to make this work. So you have to, this is what you have to do. You have to work around what works. I have a friend that's an amputee, and he uses a computer chair that is slightly smaller than a wheelchair because the computer chair fits in the kitchen better. and he can roll around, reach what he needs, cook, do whatever he has to do by rolling in the computer chair. And then when he goes out into the living room or is going to go outside, then he uses the wheelchair. But in the kitchen, his kitchen is a little small and the computer chair is a little more manageable. So you have to come up with ways. This is the whole idea. Take the excuses away and say, how can I work around this obstacle, whatever that obstacle is? And then you go from there. You just have to, when I went to college, the buildings were all scattered. One was on 51st and one was on 68. Those were the days when I couldn't afford a double fare. So what did I do? I took at that time, I walked with a white cane. I said, okay, so what I'm going to do is maybe I need some exercise. I'll walk from 51st to 68th Street, get some exercise and get to where I'm going. I couldn't use the excuse, well, I can't pay a double fare. That wasn't going to work. So I came around with another way to. Was it tiring? Yes. Walking 15 blocks when you're using a white cane is very tiring. You have to keep sliding the cane around and around and around. But that's not an excuse. It just means if you get tired, you stop a little bit and rest. That's not an excuse. Now I'm fortunate. I can pay 2 fares. I don't have to do that anymore. Now I take buses. I can take Accessorat. I can take a cab. I can take an Uber because I have worked up the money to do all those things. In those days, I couldn't. So I had to struggle to get to where I got to. Because you're not going to get there unless you do some struggling. The walk was probably good for me. I lost some weight, but you see, you have to, this is the mindset you have to have. You can't let anything defeat you. You just have to come up with a strategy. Now that I live alone, I have help 3 days a week to make sure that everything in my house is neat, to make sure that certain things that I need read, get read, and things like that. Being independent doesn't mean doing everything yourself. It means getting the resources to get it done. For example, I have my medication delivered, so I don't have to go pick it up. Because now we have services that allow us to do certain things that before we didn't have. So I use every service, every ability, everything that I can do to make myself as independent as possible. But it doesn't mean I have to do everything. It means I just have to find a resource that might work better. Could I go and pick up my medication? Yes, I could, but I'm older now. I'm 68 years old, and I don't want to be running around town, especially when it's very hot. And so I arrange things a little bit different. I used to go shopping myself, but that was a bit difficult because the supermarkets, they don't always have the help you need, and a lot of the people don't speak English, and that was too difficult. So now I can either have someone shop for me, or I can call Fresh Direct and they can bring me a delivery. I guess you see where I'm going with this, right? Sure. Every obstacle has a solution, but it's got to start in your mind. You got to say, how do I want to solve this problem? And that's one of the reasons I started my organization, is to give people more resources so that we do have someone who can bring someone to a doctor's appointment, bring someone shopping, read them their mail. They don't have to be dependent on a boyfriend or girlfriend or someone who has to, take care of them. They can take the responsibility for themselves. And so many times I see people who just look at the obstacles. And I can't do this because this. And then I'm looking to work around that obstacle. And we're giving them another resource so that if they need help, they can come to us and we will try to help them. But they're going to have to take that responsibility of helping themselves. And this is what it's about. I mean, we have more resources now than we ever had, but it's up to each person to use them to the best of their ability. And if you're willing to do that, you can do it. But if you sit there and look at the excuses and look at what's difficult, you will not get it done. Yeah, I think it's difficult. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes it's a little, but that's how you get strong. Every time you have a problem and you solve it, you get a little bit stronger. Yeah. I think the next time this won't be so hard. You gotta just put your mind to what you want in life. And once you do that, you have to have a dream that you almost can taste it. You almost can feel it. I remember the day that I gave in all my papers to get off the system. I was on SSI then. I gave in all my papers, my first paycheck. I made a copy of it. I wanted to frame it, but I didn't. And I was so happy with myself because, you know, I could just go in there and tell them, guys, I don't need you anymore. Bye. I've taken all your abuse all these years, but now I'm out of here. Bye. So I walked in there with my little papers and my cane in one hand and my papers in the other. And I said, oh, I don't, they said, oh, you're here to renew your disability. I said, no, I'm here to cancel it altogether.
Wow.
I thought the lady was going to fall out of the chair. She looked up at me and she said, did you get a job? I said, yeah, I did. She said, really? Yeah, I said, here's my pay stub. I swear, I thought the woman was going to fall out of a chair. She was like, couldn't believe it. And she said, oh, what are you going to do about the snow? I said, I'm going to walk around it just like you do. She said, well, what if there's too much snow and you can't find the curb? I said, well, I'll call someone else. This is New York. There's a million people that will give me a hand. And she just like looked at me like my mother said, she had this look on her face like, ah. She just kind of looked at me like, okay, you know. But at every time when I moved and I went to get an apartment, they'd always say, oh, you have Section 8. No, I don't have Section 8. I work. And they look at me like, oh. Because every time they expected me to come in with a Section 8 voucher or something else, you know. No, I work. I have an income. I can pay my rent. They just look at me like, one lady called me and said, you know, I was so impressed with you. I said, why? I'm doing what I need to do. You can get around by yourself. I get around with a CNI dog. I'm just doing what life has given me to do. Always look at what you have, not at what you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
If you take that philosophy, you will get ahead. You're going to have some times when you're stuck, but that time will give you time to resolve that problem to make you stronger for the next problem.
Definitely.
I mean, one thing I liked about being poor is that it made me so resourceful. I had to come up with another way. And that just, you know, now I don't think there's any problem I can't solve. I just, you know, I'm used to it. I have arthritis now because I'm older. And about 3 weeks ago, I was having a real problem. I had a bout with my arthritis. I could hardly walk. I was dragging my leg. And everybody was telling me, just stay home. I said, no, I got to go somewhere. I'm going. That's all. Just drag myself around for the day, you know. But now I'm stronger because I know I can do it. I know that even if the odds are a little bit harder, I can figure it out. And that's the message that I try to apply in my book, that, you know, you can do this, but it's not always going to be easy. So those people that have disabilities, it's a little bit harder. People that are older sometimes, it may be difficult, but, you know, you do have the resources. And remember that God is always on your side. He wants you to win. So you're not by yourself, even if you feel you're by yourself. And sometimes I guess we do, but, you know, if you remember that, it'll give you the strength to push to that next level. I'm sorry, do you have any other questions? I talked too much.
That's okay. That's why you're here. It's your day and I'm just ready to listen. I'm ready to listen and I enjoy listening to you because it comes from the heart. It's your experience and you're giving so much knowledge, and that is what is required. That is why we're here, because you are an inspiration to many out there. You are. And there is so much to learn from your journey. And I know you have different things that help you, you know, navigate around, such as your can, your guide dog and all that. can you explain to us a little bit of how, because you write a lot about this in the book as well, like really, explaining and also helping others see how they can get help and become independent, but also giving them the choice to choose, amongst all these different gadgets that you guys that are present, and even the ones that are just being brought in or innovated or things like that. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, what you have to do is learning to walk with the use of a white cane is probably the hardest thing you ever have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is that when you go out there in the street, you don't control the variables. Everything is moving around you, and you need to, first you need to figure out which way you got to go. Then you got to watch the traffic. You got to watch the people. But I took a little training, and I learned how to use a cane in a way that keeps me safe, feeling for steps and curbs and cars. You learn to listen so that when the traffic is going, when the first car starts diagonally, you can cross the street. For example, if you are on 30th Avenue and the traffic starts going on 29th Street, then you can cross. We have been very fortunate now that a lot of places are putting in these audible pedestrian signals. And what they are is a button you press and it says, wait, 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 wait. And then when the light changes, it makes a different sound and you can cross. We did not have these gadgets when I was learning how to travel. You listened for the traffic. The public will always be willing to help you. You might meet one or two people that are a little, I like to call them dizzy broads, who just, but most people are very helpful. They see the white cane, they know what it means, and they'll help you. And so you just have to go along and find where you're going and learn how to use, the white cane, which the Commission for the Blind will pay for your lessons and the things that you need. Will it be scary? Yes. But you will get used to it if you really want to, get around by yourself. That's the hardest thing you'll ever have to do. Even if you can get a dog, it still can sometimes be a little scary. But you can learn to navigate. We now have a different system. There's a thing called now Accessoride, which is a van or a car that will pick you up and take you where you're going. We had no such things in my day. That did not come out until 1990. But now it's available. And what I'm seeing is that a lot of younger people are not learning how to use canes and dogs because, well, there's this Accessoride that can, help you out. I don't say there's anything wrong with that, but you're limiting yourself to what you can do. And what will you do if Accessoride doesn't show up? And sometimes they don't. So it's good to have that backup plan of knowing how to use the trains and buses so that you can, get around. Unless you have enough money that every time Accessoride doesn't come, you can hop into a cab and pay for it.
Right.
I will say one thing, that Accessoride will reimburse you. You do have to take a cab because they didn't show up, but you have to have the money first to put it out before, you can get reimbursed. But it's another option. Whatever option you choose, that's the one you got to live with it. So you got to choose it. You can choose to just use Accessoride, or you can choose to learn to get around on your own. Also, when I was growing up, we didn't have buses that had wheelchair lifts. Now people can get around with the buses, trains. It's amazing. They didn't have all this in my day. Even the books that we got took so long to get. It was almost, the school year was almost over by the time you got the book you needed. But you used other resources. You used readers or something like that. You could hire a reader for a lot less money than today, but you had to find a way to get a book read when, you were in college. Books often came late. Now it's so simple. You can download a book in 5 seconds. So it's amazing because you have these thumb drives and you can go to the site where the book is and download it. all the things that we have today, we did not have all the time. Young people are lucky, they can take it for granted, but we didn't have all this kinds of things that we have now. Now you really have no excuse for not going to school or not doing something, because all these things are now available to you. And the Americans with Disabilities Act, which I worked to get passed, has brought everything to us. They no longer can discriminate against you. I never let anyone discriminate against me, because I had to sue a few places with my dog, but that's okay. I sued Dunkin' Donuts of all places. They should have known better, and they didn't. And they learned quickly. Because if they start with me, they're going to learn quickly if they don't want another lawsuit. Then I walked into a new Dunkin' Donuts that they just opened here where I live. And the lady said to me, "You can't come in here with a dog." I said, "It's a seeing eye dog." She said, "I don't care." I said, "When you see me in court, you will care." Boy, did she back down. I said, "I already sued one of you. Don't let me, you be the second one." I said, "And if you don't know about these things, you better talk to your lawyer, because you're going to have to find out." She backed out. Oh, the manager came and said, "Oh, it's okay." I said, "You better educate your employees, because if not, it's going to cost you money."
Right.
I'm not the kind of person that just walks away. I mean,
You're right.
I didn't spend all this time learning how to walk with a cane and a dog for you to tell me that I can't come in. No, that's not going to happen. So I am a person that, I take it seriously, but you gotta, I don't let people intimidate me like that. Some people can be very intimidating, but you have to show them that, hey, when you're right, you're right. And if they want, now that we have the Americans with Disabilities Act, as I said, people got much more educated on the law. Before, people were kind of vague, but then it seems like every place gave training on the Americans with Disabilities Act. And people learned. People now mostly understand. They know what you need. They know what to say and what not to say, which is really interesting. But I know a lot of my friends and a lot of people who, if they say no dogs allowed, they just leave. They just say, okay, I'll find someplace else. Well, those are the people that keep us back, because you have the right to something you earn, but you got to fight to keep them. You can't let people belittle you like that. You're a human being and you have civil rights, and you have a right to do certain things. You can't make, for example, a car was backing out of a driveway. The guy saw me, but said that he did not think I was so blind that I wouldn't see him. At that time, I was walking with a white cane. I know he had brains. His brains weren't working. So as a result of that, Canal Street is very noisy, and I didn't hear him coming out of the driveway. Usually when cars come out of driveways, they stop for me. Next thing I knew, I thought, how did this car get all the way over here? So he stopped after he hit me, and we had a shouting match. And he said, I didn't think you were so blind. I said, if I have a white cane, that should have given you a little hint. Anyway, the cops came in 2 seconds. I've never seen the police come so fast in my life. And the police told them the same thing I told them, "Sir, if you saw the cane in her hand, you should have stopped." Right. So long story short, we got his insurance and all that, and they paid everything. I didn't even have to sue them. They said they wanted to settle out of court, because the police report said, driver says he didn't know pedestrian was blind, although pedestrian is carrying a white cane.
And he saw it.
And he saw it.
It's in your book.
The insurance just went crazy on that one. As soon as my lawyer called, I said, we're ready to settle. Because if we take this to court, they're going to laugh us out. It's going to be worse. I don't know what he was thinking, but. Right. And then he was telling me it was my fault. It was, why don't you have someone with you? I said, you want to pay someone to walk with me? I'll gladly have them. But
Wow.
I got the information. They sent an ambulance to the location, gave me all the paperwork, and I gave it to my lawyer. I said what happened, and my lawyer said, "How could he not know?" I said, "I don't know. He says he saw the white cane. That should have given him a little hint." But he said that his van had a light on top, and I should have seen that.
Wow.
I
When he
think
saw
I
your
think what
can
he
and
was
he was
thinking
supposed to
was
stop.
that I was partially blind. But that's not his job. The law says that if you see a white cane, you stop.
You stop.
You don't make any decisions about whether the person saw you or not.
Right.
The law is very clear. If you see someone traveling with a white cane or a seen eye dog, you have to grant them the right of way. There's no, pedestrians generally have the right of way anyway, but once these two items are around, well, I didn't have a dog then, or the dog would have stopped, because the dog was more intelligent than the man, but I had a cane, and canes can't do that, so, but, and he had commercial plates too. I don't know what he was thinking. Him and I were yelling at each other, and the cops told us to be quiet. I said, "Well, this guy's an idiot." They said, "Well, ma'am, he's not very smart." I said, "How could he say that he sees a white cane and doesn't know?" I said,
Right.
"Everybody else knows." Usually when they're coming out of a driveway, they beep, or they usually will stop. If they think they're not going to stop, they'll tell me, "Miss, stop." No, stop. Luckily for me, and for him, I guess, when you come out of a driveway, you don't come out real quickly. You kind of.
You do not. Yeah.
So he wasn't going very fast, which made the accident a whole lot better. If he were going very fast, he would have really. He just, wasn't. Next thing I knew, he was right there. I couldn't figure out how that happened because I wasn't expecting a car to come around. I didn't realize that's a driveway there. Well, usually I expect cars coming out of a driveway to yield to me, so I didn't. Like that's a good thing when you have a dog, that dog would have stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Because dogs
Yeah,
are
that's some of the advantages you gave about having a dog
yeah.
to help you walk around, because they can maybe even change the direction. If they see an obstacle, they can easily decide on where to go, as
Yeah.
compared to, yeah, maybe just a can and things like that.
Yeah. And now we have even a neater thing. We have with the iPhone, you can call this thing called Ira, and Ira is like a virtual assistant. It can see where you are and give you directions, or tell you why the dog is not moving, and give you another way that you might be able to go. One time my dog wasn't going because there was a curve that was not only a curve up, but you had to step up and then step down. And I think the dog thought that I might fall, not realizing that I had to step down again.
Oh.
And then after the lady told me that, I told the dog, "Okay, baby, mommy knows, mommy knows." And then she went, she was thinking, oh, she'll step up and then fall, because she doesn't realize she's got to step down. So this is it's wonderful, and it's another tool that you have to use. Is this virtual assistant that can, give you directions. We have all these new gadgets that I've talked about that we didn't have when I started. But in a way it was good, because it kept me more sharp, and
right.
I was sharp then. Now I can be a little more, because I have all these.
Relax. Yeah.
Right, now you can, then we didn't have these things. All came out in the last so many years. The other thing is, some of these things are a little bit expensive. So for people that have less income, they may not be able to use them. But it's okay, just use what you have, whatever it is. New York is also a good city, because there are so many people. There's always someone who will, give you a hand. If you live in places where it's not as populated, it's a little bit harder. Like my sister lives in Pennsylvania, and you don't see a lot of people walking on the street there. So you have to know where you're going. If you end up getting lost, it's a little bit of a problem because you don't have as many people around. This is where something like Ira comes in really handy. Because if you get lost, they can direct you back to where you have to go. There's also a thing on the iPhone that you can set up, and you say, you can tell the iPhone, give me directions to go home. And the iPhone can, if you have programmed it, can tell you how to get back. A lot of my friends in the country use it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they tell the one lady said that she got so confused because the snow was out, and with the snow that covers all your landmarks, and so she told the phone to get her home, and she still got confused. She had to ask it like 3 times, but she finally got back.
Okay.
But in the old days, we wouldn't have had that luxury, and now she has the luxury.
Yeah, technology has advanced so much, and it keeps advancing. So
It's amazing.
using
All the things that we did on Zoom during the pandemic. I didn't even know about Zoom before the pandemic, and then it became my best friend. Before the pandemic, if you would have told me what's Zoom, I would have said, what's Zoom? Someone explained it to me and how you use it, you know, and during the pandemic, we had to go to church on Zoom and meetings on Zoom and this on Zoom. And so I learned about Zoom.
Yeah. Here we are.
Here we are on Zoom again.
The one thing that I also really enjoyed reading your book is that book is like, it's for everybody. It has a lot of pieces to it. Not only, you know, it's talking about the disabled and all that, your journey, but it also gives a lot of tips, like to even parents, or even if we know somebody who has a disability or who is blind, on how to, you know, to assist them, because you have like little, you know, you have a lot of advice to give because you've been through that. You've had that, you've walked your life has been through that, you have an experience of it. And even the work that you do, what you're passionate about in helping hands, is because you know the difficulties behind that disability, and coming from that place of service and helping all these people and encouraging others out there to do same. And also to consider, you know, people with disability by having to put ourselves in their shoes and not ignore or feel like they're supposed to do this or this is what they're supposed to do. Because at the end of the day, these people are going through a lot, and being compassionate and being there and actually extending our hand and giving maybe some tips or helping people, you know, navigate their life is so important. So I would really like people, all of you audience out there who are listening to these, to take some time and read this book, because it's not because maybe I might not be have a disability, but that will help me. Just the things that I learned reading her book will help me, you know, if I meet somebody who is disabled, or somebody like my father was blind. He was blind at a later age in his life. But I always felt like I would hold his hand, you know, to take him to church and things like that. And but when you consider somebody who started without, you know, just like Alice, from her very childhood not having that vision, or even those who become blind, you know, later on in their life, which becomes a bit more difficult because, as you wrote in your book, some of them are so ashamed that people should know that they are blind. So being there for these people and, you know, encouraging them and empowering them and letting them know that they are part of our society, accepting them as one, as humans, just like us. What Alice is doing today, most people who have everything, they can see, they can walk, they can do all this, they can do so many things, they are not doing it. So this is an example to let us know that there is no excuse. We've been given this great power of choice. the choice we make, either the way we treat people, the way we navigate our life, considering our core values, and the fact that we can change, we can make better decisions, we can learn from other people's experience, just like Alice's, and be a better version of ourselves than we were yesterday. So I really, really enjoyed reading this book, and it has so much to give, so much to inspire us to make our blue planet a better place. And the one thing I would like Alice to reiterate, because at the beginning you did give us that information, where can people, like, because I also went on your website, and I know that people can also donate to the Helping Hands to the Helping Hands, where you are the founder and director, so they can actually donate. And as I said on the description box of this episode, I'm going to have the link for her website where you can find that information, and you can actually sign up. Maybe you want to donate, maybe monthly, it depends, maybe quarterly, maybe yearly. She has different options, and that you can choose, or what amount you want to donate. And to help these courses to be able to provide and to assist and encourage those who are really taking that front seat, they've been at the driver's seat and really working hard to make the life of our fellow humans or brothers and sisters out there, making their life a better place. If you read her book, you will see so many people that she's helped. So many of them. It's not just blind people, many people with many other ailments. And this is just so incredible. I am just so I just thank you so much, Alice, for what you do and for being an inspiration to the world, for being an inspiration to me, and for making that firm decision and taking that resolve to bring that. And not only, this book, which I know many people are going to read, but using your life and showing it in your everyday life. This is so beautiful, extremely beautiful. So I would like
you are in New York or close by and you want to volunteer some hours, feel free to also call us, because we have a lot of, ways that you can volunteer.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. So I know you have your website here, you have your email address here, you have the phone number where people can contact you and all that. Is there anything else that you would love to share so they can have more clarity, or how they can?
Well, we run several programs with Helping Hands. One of them is a monthly program where we team up or volunteer with a disabled person, and for 3 hours you get to help someone. It's only once a month. Okay. And you can help people with shopping, with running errands, with reading mail, or if somebody wants to go to the beauty parlor. So if you have that third Saturday of the month free, we would love to have you in this part of our program. We also have a food pantry. We need food deliverers. If you if you have time during the week, we need people to take people to doctor's appointments and things like that, physical therapy. If you have some time and you can donate that to us, we will be very grateful, because we need more volunteers who can assist us. If you want to make a monetary donation, that's great too. You want to join our raffle, that's great. If you want to sell some of our raffles, I would love you, because I'm trying to raise $5,000 and that doesn't come easy. So please reach out to us, talk to us. If you have a problem that you need help with, talk to us, because we can try to assist you in any way that you need. Do not worry, we do not have any immigration. You don't have to have any kind of card or anything like that. We can help you no matter what. So if you have a problem that you need help with, talk to us. We could probably come up with some kind of a solution. If you have any need like that. If you have questions, if you have someone in your family and you don't know what to do, You want to make decisions about whether someone should go to a nursing home, assisted living, stay in the community with a helper. All these things, we can discuss them with you, give you options, give you tools to help you make that final decision. Or if you yourself are disabled and you're trying to decide what would be best for me at this age, at this time, we can help you make an informed decision. We don't make decisions for you. We just give you information and you make decisions that you think are good for you. We don't tell you what we think. We just give you the information and you can make an informed decision. Yesterday, I had a lady who, she needs help, but she doesn't trust people to give them information, like to fill out forms or do something. And so I just simply said to her, I said, well, you have to make a choice. If you need these forms done, you can either hire a private agency, a private, like Partners in Care or whatever, to help you, or you can have one of us help you. If we help you, it's free. If they help you, you have to pay. Or you can decide that this is just not worth doing. But, you have to make the choice. I can't make it for you. If you need certain things, I need help getting places, well, then you have to make a decision. Are you going to go with Accessoride and go by yourself? Or are you going to let someone go with you? And only you can make. I always tell people, look at two things, the pros and the cons, and then weigh it out. And you see which decision you think is better for you. I can't tell you what's better for you. Only you can decide that. And don't let the fact that someone, a husband, a wife, or a mother, a father, is telling you, oh, this is the best. No, you will come to that conclusion because you're the one that has to live with yourself. And if you just listen to what other people say, they're going to say what's convenient for them. Like I was telling one person, your family wants you to go into a nursing home because that's what's most convenient for them. So they don't have to deal with you. But you have to make the decision. Do you want to go to a nursing home? No, I don't. Then don't go. Set up the things that you need to stay home. In his case, it was very simple. He just had to pay $50 a month, and Medicaid would have given him an aid for 4 hours. But he kept saying that he couldn't afford it, that his family didn't want him to pay. I said, well, you have to make that final decision. It's your call. We just empower you to make the decision that you think is best for you. And that's, if you have a problem like that, and you need us to kind of, give you that advice and that information, then you can make that determination, what you think is good for you. If you need equipment or something that might help you live a little bit easier, we can try to get you that too. A talking clock, or anything that you need that might make your life a little easier. Sometimes some people need like a scooter, but Medicare only pays 80%. We can try to help you get the other 20%. Don't let that stop you. If it's something that you need and you can use, we can try to figure out a way to get it to you. So that's what we do. We come up with a solution. Okay, Medicaid only pay 80%. Let's see, how can we raise the other 20%? We could have a cake sale for you and raise 20%. People love cake anyway. I'll be doing you a little bit of a favor, but if you're doing them a favor, they'll have good cake. My bakers are good. They bake good cakes. So we'll have a cake sale for you and raise the money. We'll even have a little fun while we do it. My friends bake good chocolate cakes. Now, I'm not a good baker. That's not my specialty. But I'll get your cake from a good bakery. So it sells well. I can't make cakes. That's not one of my better things. I can cook for myself, but I wouldn't say I'm I'm a chef. No, but with microwave dinners, I do pretty good. But if you need something, we'll come up with a way that we can, all joking aside, that we can help you get to make your life better. That's our goal, is to make your life better for you. Sure. Something that you want. Read my book. I hope you'll enjoy it. And if you don't like it, you can say, oh, well, that's life. But I think you'll like it, you know. Only got one person who didn't like my book. And that was another disabled person. That's because it took away all her excuses for not doing anything. So she decided she didn't like me. I understand. That's okay too. I took away all her
That was her
excuses.
choice.
Yeah, I mean, I took away all her excuses, so she got mad. And so she just said, your book stinks. I said, okay, yeah, that's fine too, you know. I don't take it personal.
Not at all.
Just because I took all your excuses away and now you're mad at me, okay, that's okay too. A lot of people are gonna be, I might even get a few calls from this podcast of people who think I, you know, took away all their excuses and now they're mad. They're gonna say, oh, I can't do that. I have different circumstances. Yeah, you do, but that's okay. I mean, everybody who writes a book takes that chance that somebody isn't gonna like it.
Oh yeah. Whatever we do in life, everybody's not gonna
Yeah,
love it.
everybody's
So
not
that's what
gonna
it is.
be, everybody's not gonna see it your way,
Your way.
but
That's it.
that's okay. You know,
And that is
we're
okay,
different
as you
people,
said.
we're different, you know. I saw a guy that was begging and he said something, he saw me walking into court. I worked in court for 30 and a half years. He said, do you work here? I said, yes, I do. He said, well, how can you work here if you're blind? I said, well, I'm an interpreter. I only have to speak. I don't have to do, you know, a lot of writing work. Or if I do, I could do the computer, and I don't have to drive because I live in New York. So, you know, it's fine. He said, well, I can't work and I can see. I said, no, you don't want to work. Not that you can't. You just chose not to. There's no reason you can't. It's just that you made that choice. So he said, I can't believe you're working here. I said, well, he said, how do you get to work? I said, see my dog? She's getting lots of exercise bringing me to work every day.
Beautiful.
She loves it. Everybody pets her and tells her how wonderful she is. And this dog I have is a real ham. She loves when everybody pets her. I call her my celebrity dog. She loves everybody. I said, if I ever meet a person that this dog doesn't like, I'm running. They must really be bad. I'm running the other way. Okay, so
Yes.
is there anything else that you want me to talk about?
I think you've said a lot. You've said great. It's been an amazing time with you, and
Thank you.
yeah, I really enjoyed our time together, just listening to you and getting so much insights and sharing your experience with us, and lots of value. I really appreciate that. And so we've come to the end of this episode. I will, by Monday, this will be up. And there we go. The message
All
is
right.
out there. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time and letting me be on this podcast.
Thank you too. Thank you to Alice for being here.
Okay.
And from sharing from your heart.
Thank you.